Welcome to the game of ISO. This session is for top managers. This is what we want you to know. This is what we expect you to do in an ISO management system. Hi, I'm Deborah Hampton, and I have my PE in quality, as well as I have been a lead auditor for over 20 years. And I want to share with you what I have learned as the responsibilities of top management. Let's get going. Welcome to the game of ISO for top management. We have prepared a slide presentation strictly for top management so that they can understand their expectations. Our philosophy is that if you simplify it, it will clarify it. There are 5 roles in an ISO management system, as you see here. There is an ISO management system specialist. If you think about him, he's like the quarterback in a game of football. He actually knows where he wants to move the team. He helps you to guide the system. He becomes your right hand to making things work better. What we're talking about today is your role as a top manager. First of all, what is ISO? It is not leading edge thinking. It is actually standard practices, proven practices that have become the expected method of approach for the area of expertise of that standard. It is the expected approach internationally. It is the best practices for you to perform as an organization. So what do you need to do as a top manager? First of all, as always, you need to know the issues that your organization is going to face internally and externally. You need to know those issues. You need to know what your interested parties are and what their needs are. From these, you then look at what risk there are to meeting these, to being able to fulfill the needs of your interested parties, as well as those risks that you might fail. We think about those risks. We develop a plan and we mitigate those risks. We look for opportunities for the organization and we help promote those opportunities. As a top manager, we set the objectives of the organization, and those objectives are what we want to accomplish this year. Sometimes they extend beyond a year, but most of the time they are what we want to accomplish this year. And if we don't communicate those expectations, if we're trying to meet them just by ourselves, we won't be successful. So we've got to communicate those expectations. The top managers determine what they expect from each process, and they help the process owners learn what to monitor and measure so that everyone working together can insist on and promote improvement. Periodically, top managers should review the entire system and think about what they need to improve. Again, they want to communicate those successes and expectations for improvement to the rest of the organization. This risk-based thinking is the approach that we need with ISO management standards. It is the basis of the modern standards. We know our risk to the organization and we mitigate them to prevent problems. Those mitigations that we plan are included in the steps of the process. A process approach says that we will know the inputs to a process, we will know the task that we perform on those inputs, we will include tasks that address risk, and then we will look at our outputs, measure, monitor, and improve our outputs. So the process approach gives us a consistent and predictable result. It helps us to be more effective and more efficient. When our activities are understood and managed as interrelated processes, they function as a coherent system. You cannot continually improve in an ISO management system unless you adopt the process approach. The reason is the process approach incorporates the plan, do, check, act philosophy of quality. The process approach is what truly drives improvement. Let's look at the processes of most organizations. These are true no matter whether you are a service organization or if you are a manufacturing organization making widgets. I want to draw your attention to the center where the blue cloud is. There are 3 processes there, and our processes are noted as rectangles, dark blue, royal blue, and they are the processes that make us money. If we don't know what our sales and customers need, then we cannot plan to produce and we cannot provide the product or the service that our customers need. There are other processes in the organization that support. You can see back at the beginning the context, the risk and opportunity assessment. You can also see that there's inventory control, purchasing and receiving. You can also see how that main process is feeding performance reporting, is feeding not only information we will need that goes back into our system as an input, but it also drives improvement. Top management communicates its mission, its policy, and its expectations for continual improvement. Top management creates the culture we need to engage people in achieving objectives. If top management does not expect unity of purpose and direction in their culture, teamwork will be hard to find. We have many characteristics of a commitment to continual improvement, but here are just a few that come with an organization that is committed to continual improvement. First of all, you give your organization an identity, a brand, a focus. It starts to create a culture where people, if they know where you're going, they have more trust in you leading them. They start seeing you as having integrity as they see you keep your word. Teamwork is evident in approaching problems as well as in driving improvement. If you want someone to be accountable, you have to give them enough knowledge to be accountable. In a continually improving organization, you know what knowledge you need to give to people so that they can be accountable. You promote shared values, fairness, and ethical behavior. Top managers even promote some healthy competition. They communicate and celebrate successes in the organization. They actively develop leaders to follow them and to become leaders in the organization. As a top manager, you may need more information than is in the auditable standard. Now, I'm going to use the ISO 9001 standard as your auditable standard. ISO 9001 is the quality management standard, but it has a sister called ISO 9004 that actually gives you the guidelines or the interpretations of what ISO 9001 is expecting us to see. There is a guideline for most all auditable standards. So if you have questions about your area of expertise in the standard, what you need to learn, what you need to do, go to your guidelines to give you just a little bit more information and a little bit more understanding. Every standard since 2015 has the same level of structure. It's a high level of clauses. There are 10 clauses. The standards now in the modern day have almost the same words, whether you're in the quality management standard, the environmental management standard, the health and safety standard, or the security standard. They have very similar words. They almost substitute the word environment for quality or security for quality, but there's many similar words in the standards in each of the clauses. So there are 10 clauses in most every standard that has been published since 2015. You can see as you go through what top managers must know. Top managers look at the requirements in Clause 4.1 to know the issues that they face that could deter the ability of the system to meet its expectations. They want to mitigate those issues. They also want to know the interested parties. They want to know what the requirements are of the interested parties. And they do their very best to mitigate the risk that might be there to keep them from meeting the requirements of interested parties. They know the scope of their system. In other words, they know if they are liable for the product after it is delivered. They know if they are liable for certain steps within the process and how deep to go. So top managers need to define the scope of the system that they must control in order to ensure that the organization knows what it is liable for. The processes the organization will need are defined by top managers. You look at your scope and decide what you need to do. What are the processes and how in depth do you need to go? You also look for opportunities for the organization. You mitigate the risk not only to the system but also to processes. Top management sets objectives for the organization and they communicate their expectation to the other leaders. They then monitor, measure, analyze, and drive improvement of meeting objectives as well as meeting process expectations. If there is a failure to meet expectation, top management steps up and makes sure that they bring correction and fix the problem to prevent it from reoccurring. So how do you continue to demonstrate your leadership? Take accountability. Drive accountability. Make sure that people know that you're going to check back on them to see if they got their job done per your expectations. Make sure you publish a meaningful policy and objectives. We're going to talk some more about meaningful policies. Ensure the ISO management system is how you run your business. Don't have an ISO management system on the side and then run your business a different way. Ensure when you're beginning projects and doing work that you consider the risk first and then take a process approach to prevent failures. Communicate. You can never communicate enough how much resources you need and make sure you have a process in place to provide those resources. You as a top manager are expected to remove obstacles so that your process owners can be effective, so that the people in the organization can be effective. Ensure those objectives are met. Plan methods to engage personnel in ownership of the ISO management system. Involve people. One of the greatest roles that a top manager plays is in setting policy. That policy tells you what is appropriate for your organization. It frames where you are going as an organization. It is a framework for your objectives. You stay committed as a top manager to satisfy the requirements of the organization, and you stay committed to continual improvement. This is what your policy is saying. Remember, I mentioned that there is a sister standard, ISO 9004. Well, this is what she says about the policy. Top management shall set the organization's intentions and directions in the organization's policy. Policy statements should include commitments to satisfy interested parties and to promote improvement. Here's just a few examples of some policies that we have seen and used in the past. One of my favorites is to pursue excellence every day in every way. This actually is a policy of a school system, and it works very well because they're janitors. They can pursue excellence every day in every way in how they clean. Their teachers can pursue excellence. Central staff can pursue excellence. But even Johnny, if he's throwing food in the cafeteria, you can say, no, Johnny, excellence every day in every way. We don't throw food. Here's an example of a widget manufacturer. Quality parts on time, every time. That's an example of a policy that could be, because every time we send out widgets, we want to make sure they're quality and we want to make sure they're on time. Another one might be, we're going to decrease our effect on the environment if you're implementing the environmental management system. You could say, we are determined to make sure that our people are as safe when they're working as they are when they leave. So just a comment, there's no requirement that there be exact words for commitment or continual improvement in your policy, but it does have to imply commitment and improvement. Top managers communicate the policy in everything they do. Let it be a mantra for the direction of your organization. Make sure it is understood. Share it with your customers. Share it with other interested parties. Share it with the community. Toot your horn. Tell them where you're going. Top managers also establish the roles, the responsibilities, and the authorities. They show commitment and accountability. Here are 6 things that a top manager does. They establish a cadence of meetings that happen daily, weekly, monthly to review what is monitored and measured. They must have this cadence of meetings in order to ensure that we are driving improvement. As they make change, they manage the risk of that change. They are responsible for driving the continual improvement. They're constantly looking at data, analyzing it, and driving that improvement. They do things to reward good performance in the ISO management system. An example of that might be they tie bonuses and other rewards to the achievements of the ISO management system. All organizations have similar processes, and the standard tells us what these organizations must do to meet those requirements. They establish the context, which is the issues and the interested parties, their scope and the processes. They establish their leadership roles. They determine opportunities and pursue them. They help us find the risk. They mitigate them, and they establish the objectives to improve. They determine our support processes. They make sure that our processes are under control during normal and abnormal conditions. They evaluate the performance of the processes. They foster and track improvements. Top managers, in order to lead the organization, must continually pursue improvement, not only in themselves, but in their processes. We want to encourage you to learn. We've provided some opportunities for your learning at CETC. If you go to ce-q.com, there is a place where you can sign up for a free newsletter. It's once a week. You get a little blurb, a little information. That's a principle of a simple ISO management system. Gives just a little food for thought once a week. We also offer free monthly training. It's third Thursday 30 minutes of teaching and 30 minutes of question and answer. It's 2 sessions once a month. We do it early in the morning and late in the afternoon so that people from all over the world do participate. We also have some free examples on our website of corrective action forms, process maps, manuals, other things that may help you as a top manager in leading your organization. Plus, we are constantly adding new courses to our online selection so that you can pursue more learning. When it comes to leadership, we don't create our own courses. We want to recommend to you two organizations that we find to be very helpful in growing leaders. One is John Maxwell. His book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, is excellent. He has many, many books, many things that can help you. Another one is Donald Miller, and Donald Miller's website is storybrand.com. His book is Business Made Simple. He sends a video out once a day. It's about 5-minute video. Awesome learning on how to improve yourself as well as how to improve the organization. Very practical, down-to-earth information. Also, leadership, Google TED presentations on leadership. There's lots of them out there, as well as YouTube and other media. Top managers continually pursue knowledge of the requirements of the standard and knowledge about the task of their processes. They are constantly pursuing knowledge of how to lead others. We want to thank you for your time. If you have any questions about any of this material, or if you would like to see us add some more material, please feel free to send us a question at support@ce-q.com. We look forward to hearing from you.